Alrighty, folks, welcome to the last Tuesday coffee with John Willis and Jack Spirko. We decided to move up a week this time because we have that power. You know why we have that power, Jack?
Because we gives not a shit.
Well, John and Jack and I have that power because we can just decide to do things because we work for ourselves.
That's true.
So sometimes that's a double-edged sword, but not in a bad way, in my opinion. But sometimes you have some long days too because you do that. And when your revenue drops, guess whose fault it is?
Yep. But when your revenue drops, you have the ability to raise your revenue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whenever it drops, though, it's the fault of three parties: me, myself, and I.
Yeah. Also, my boss is a jerk.
Well, I mean, you got into your own business so you could work, 40 hours a week.
Absolutely. I don't know that I ever worked 40 hours a week beyond when I was in retail at the mall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it just kind of every job I've had is more. So then if you're going to work more, you might as well work more for yourself, right? Because working for yourself, you don't work more than the jobs, do you, Jack?
No. And I mean, the only reason I'm going to work more is because I know I can grow my business and make more money. I'm not going to work more just so I can say I worked more. Right. Or just so that then maybe I'll get a promotion because there is no promotion.
Okay. So my first question is this. If you lost 50% of your income overnight and you still have your business, your land, all the people you talk to, all the skills you have, what would your next month look like?
Did you say 50% of my income or 50% of my wealth?
50% of your income.
It would probably look like it did the month prior to the loss because I would be like, what the fuck happened? And I would take immediate corrective action. And I think that's a huge mistake that most entrepreneurs don't make. And I don't think it happens the way you asked the question. I think it happens like this. This month is 5% off. The next month is 3% more off. The next month is 2% off. The next month is 10% off. And then you get into it's just a slow time or something like that. And then business owners, entrepreneurs use the most self-destructive phrase that they can when things pick up. And they go to that mindset of, well, when things pick up. Because either there is an economic problem that's broader than your company, you better adapt to it, or it's just your company and you really better adapt to it. So I would think that I would instantly turn something around.
John, what would you do?
Well, same. The answer is the same, but how do we bring revenue in? So if revenue's down, right? Are we saying sales are down?
Yeah, gross revenue.
How do we move the same product that we already produce to a different market? How do we market it to new customers? My company, for instance, we've probably gotten lazy when we started using SMS and text messaging. Well, SMS is text, but also email marketing. Whereas up until those two, everything was new customer, organic, or word of mouth, right? It was us interacting with the customer and maintaining forums and groups and such. And then with email marketing, when you get up to 100,000, all you need is like 1% of that to engage every week, every email. And then things got really easy with text marketing because they've jumped through more hoops and we send out more frequent texts, and more of the money comes from text than the email. So go back to the basics, right? What worked before all of that? And it's more song and dance and more theatrics, but interact with, newer people and newer groups.
So my answer is that this did happen to me in 2020, March. I lost 75% of my revenue for March.
Why?
And because during when the shutdowns were first announced, my revenue went to zero for 2 weeks.
Got it.
And what I did was start telling the story of why you should be ordering coffee delivered to your door that's safe, because I'm safe and I'm not running around, French kissing everybody on the street or whatever. And then paired that with how to make Froofy coffee teaching. And then I added in the homesteading skills because everybody was bored. And that ultimately led to an increase in revenue, but it took me 2 months to even turn it around. And that's when, John, you got involved. You heard my revenue was down. You started helping me market the coffee. And then we did that coffee together. And it ended up being the best thing that ever happened to the company.
But I think a lot, and that's exactly what I said, right? New markets.
Yeah.
I started talking, and those were all, for the most part, brand new customers that came in there.
Yeah. And they haven't left.
Correct.
So that was a big deal. That was my buy the beans time, Jack.
Yeah, I remember.
As revenue that was down, I was also looking at the supply chain getting all disrupted. Like you could tell.
Yeah.
That I was like, well, if ports are shut down, perhaps coffee imports might be impacted about 6 months from now when stores run out here. And I was really struggling with making a commitment to put, it was like $5,000 into beans.
Yeah, it's interesting because you run a small business.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like it would be directly attracted to global concerns. But not only is coffee a global commodity, it's a global commodity with a futures market. And when a commodity has a futures market, shortages occur not because there's actually a shortage, but because of speculative activity that starts binding up product line in futures contracts. So you got impacted by a global, like, multi-wave assault. You had a global commodity with a futures market in the middle of a global scamdemic. I just can't say it with a P. I can't do it. But
it's fine.
It had the same impact as if it was, a non-scamdemic.
Yeah.
And so you got hit with that, and that was your only play because it was your only play. And what John hit on, though, is really interesting, though, is this idea that you can become too complacent with a large customer base. I see companies do that all the time. Back when I used to do consulting, it was one of the biggest things that we would figure out. Like, okay, so what does your new business look like? Well, our revenue last quarter was only 5% off. Not what I asked. How much of that revenue is new business? And the immediate thing you realize is they don't know. Okay, that I already know it's low. If you don't know what it is, you're not tracking it. If you're not tracking it, I already know it's low. And then, maybe the accounts would go to work or what have you, and they come back and, it'd be 3% of their new business. 3% of the revenue was new business. But you can't grow a company that way. And a company's like a biological organism. You have a growth period, a plateau, and death. And when you start plateauing, unless you can S-curve it and come back up off of that, your company's in decline. And once it goes into decline, if you do not take action, it will go into terminal decline.
Yeah. What were you going to say, John?
What's up with beans right now? Are you seeing cost of beans go up because of tariffs? How's the oil pricing affecting all of that? Like, where is it at right now today compared to when it was, that in that period? I would assume you're kind of seeing that same type of thing happen.
This has been going on for 9 months now, that the futures market for coffee has been high. As a result, the spot price of coffee is high and everything's benchmarked off the spot. So the importers stopped importing because they keep playing a game of chicken to wait for prices to come down, which is leaving coffee in place until people are desperate enough to pay the price, and then the shipping is higher. So coffee prices in the last 12 months have gone up about 30%. And in some of the specialty coffees I get, if I compare the prices to 2021, are 3 times what they cost me then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at some point I just have to pay the price, right? Like I had to buy in advance a year's supply of a specific bean I get because I get that specific bean, and I got the last 10 bags of it. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And that's because people bought them and are sitting on them, and they'll probably end up releasing them when they realize that they can't, like the market. So the markets came down in December, January. I got another pallet in when that happened, but they're going back up right now. And as Jack said, it's kind of manufactured. Like at some point, the coffee farmers are going to be impacted because their coffee's not moving.
Do you know who Black Rifle Coffee is?
Yeah, I've been to their factory.
So they got some stuff going on. They're being delisted off of the stock exchange. They've missed their target so many months in a row, and they're being delisted. There's a lot of speculation that they're in some trouble and going out of business. I just heard about it yesterday, but it's really that stock market thing.
Yeah. Well, and that doesn't surprise me. I toured their factory in 2020 before the shutdowns to see what it would look like to grow holler roast to that level of production, and decided at that time to stay a hands-on craft roaster, because I don't want to be in the role of factory manager. And I would end up in the role of factory manager even if I find a factory manager, because we know how I'm skeptical. So that doesn't surprise me, because they are also subject to those coffee price pressures. I don't know how their retail has been either.
Yeah.
So my retail was impacted negatively in the fall, and I started changing how I market the coffee to bring it back up. And it's been like focusing on the health of the coffee message has been better than the flavor in the last 3-4 months. So I have the tins, like these tins here don't have any. So there is plastic in the label and the lid, but inside there's no plastic. So no plastic touches your bean. So if you care about microplastics, you order it in the tin. And if you don't, you order it in the plastic bag. But some of those changes, and I think that's concerns of a younger audience.
Yeah. Yeah. The interesting thing you just hit on, though, with the Black Rifle thing is they would be a giant company in many niches. In coffee, they're not. They're in the middle. Like, you're small, so you're adaptable. A company like a Starbucks or a Folgers, they're not buying a future just to buy a future. What they're actually going to do is take an option on a future, and they can do that to the tune of, millions of dollars, because to them it's 1% of total, so it's an insurance policy. So they're not actually locking the contract fully by buying the full contract. They're taking an option on the contract, and if the option becomes profitable, then they're converting it into actually locking up a supply. And if the option is not profitable, they let it expire or sell it off to somebody that still wants to gamble on it, and then they can move on with their lives. And they're doing that at a scale that a company like Black Rifle is not big enough to. And yet they're too big to do what you do, which is, I'm going to watch the price. When it goes down a little bit, I'm going to buy a couple pallets, because that shit lasts forever until I roast it. Right? So you have like this small, agile form of an option. Starbucks and Folgers has this massive form of options control. And they're in the middle where it's just, they're big enough to be a bug that the big company wants to squish. And that's not a detriment against them or their brand or anything. I like what they do. I like what they stand for. I'm looking at purely from an analytical standpoint, looking at as you got so big so fast. And I also wonder, like, they were everywhere with marketing and advertising. Massive amounts. There had to be a huge amount of investment went in there. Was it actually chugging back out what went in? And then all of a sudden you end up to a point where you're just not gaining traction enough to actually spit out a profit.
They built a ton of, Starbucks location type shops too.
Yeah.
I don't know how many there were. We went in there.
That's massive overhead, man.
Yeah, we went in there and the service wasn't very good. The one in Clarksville was actually pretty shitty. Like, we went in there once, tried it again, it was still pretty shitty, and we just never went back.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were in the cafe business too.
Yeah, that all makes a difference. That's part of why I don't do cafes with Holler Roast. Because for all of the state inspection-y stuff and that kind of thing, the easy button is have a cafe, because you have to go through all basically the same inspections. But then you have to have hours for your cafe. You have to have employees that are trained to make coffee for your cafe. You might as well add food and internet and all of those things. I have to leave the holler to go to where somebody might actually want to come to the cafe. And while that all can equal additional revenue, every coffee roaster I see at my size doing that, who didn't just start as a cafe plus roasting, they struggle with it and they lose money. And part of why they lose money is we are selling, $5 scones. That's not, I'm not selling a $400 awesome day pack. I'm selling a $5 scone. So like John's one $400 sale is going to take similar effort to my scone. Where do you want to put your time?
Yeah.
I'm not selling scones.
Yeah, you gotta grow that brand name so big that you can sell $400 backpacks under it.
Yeah.
Anytime we're at an event location, there's a little, and they're usually tiny, right? They're rickety looking. I think it's intentional.
Yeah.
Kind of retro trailers, and they have little coffee shops in them, right? You can go get your coffee. And they had one at the event this weekend. We see one in Nashville, but it's always really good coffee, you know, because it's full of sugar and shit. They've got their 10 little foo-foo drinks.
Yeah.
But there's always a line to get them. There's always people there. And I mean, I know you don't want to make coffee. I just find it an interesting talking point that people do gravitate towards that. I go get coffee. I don't even want damn coffee, but if I see coffee, I'll go get a coffee early in the day and I'll have it. And Amanda's like, how's your coffee? I'm like, I don't know why I'm even drinking it, but people are in line for it. What are you standing in line for? I don't know. I'm just in line.
That's an old scam at little shops and stuff. Is you just hire some people to stand in line at the door.
Yeah,
I saw any place where there's foot traffic. That's where that works. And also they're like, "What do you? Oh, this is the best place ever." And next thing your line starts building.
Yeah, what are they giving away? I don't know.
Success like success, even if it's fake success.
That's a trick I've used many times, but not specifically physically.
Yeah, here in Texas, the big one of that is barbecue places that open at we open at 10 a.m. We sell until we're out, and then we close. That could be noon. That could be 2. Could be 3 on a Wednesday because it's not that busy, but it won't be 5. Get it?
Right.
Or you don't get any today. And those places do. They have the real lines. It's not they paid Billy Bob to stand in it, man. They make it happen.
And that seems to really work for the barbecue business because there's many times like a local place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, see if they got ribs. They sold out of them 2 hours ago. See if they got half chicken. Sold out of them. I'm like, well, why don't they make more?
Man.
Because their smoker's a certain size, and it is what it is.
Like you probably have a base run of equipment you build, right? And so they have a base run they do every day, and maybe they'll adjust it if it gets really out of whack, but they just cook for what they make most days. And I think most of those guys are like, look, man, I got to fire the pit up at 3 a.m. I want to be fucking done it too.
Yeah, and I don't want.
And I'm not doing it unless I can do that. Like that's just the culture in that business.
Yeah, I don't want to make the pit bigger. I don't want to have to hire people. I don't want to have a bigger walk-in.
Yep. Yeah.
That's our best barbecue guy ended up doing a food truck and increasing, and then we don't see him anymore. So I assume he got older and was like, "Screw it, I'm done," because he's about 10 years older than I am, and I think he was just like, eh.
Oh, that wore you out.
Yeah,
that's a tough business. It's not making one brisket on your pellet smoker in the backyard.
Yeah.
It's funny, too. Like a lot of things that you think will be cool, if you end up doing it as a job, and I don't just mean the job does it, like you do it so repetitively, so often, so frequently, over and over, it just becomes work. No matter how much you liked it at the beginning, it just becomes, it's a heavy thing I have to move. It doesn't matter if it's a brisket or it's a bowling ball. Like whatever it is, it's mass that I have to move.
Yeah, Josh says CBGB club set up empty for 3 months with red ropes out front and turned away everyone just to make hype in the late 70s.
Do you know what that is? CBGB? I don't know what that is.
I don't have any idea. I was going to ask.
Josh is a restaurant dude.
Yeah, it's probably some hoity-toity place. Basically.
CBGB. Music venue in New York City.
Okay.
1973 to 2006.
Got it.
Well, hell, we should have known that.
I didn't. It's funny. Well, I went to places in New York in those years, but I didn't necessarily pay attention to where I was going. Comment, the scarcity is definitely part of the marketing for barbecue.
It works for everything.
It works for everything.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it kills the concept of, maybe someday I'll buy that. That's the biggest reason. It's not just like a popularity thing to jump on. It's like, somebody puts on for something, you're like, I got to think about it. Do I need that? I'm not sure. Well, there's only 100. And the last time we did it, it sold out in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you got something like that coming?
Yeah. Shit or get off the pole. I do. On May the 4th.
Cool. I wonder where my coffee grounds are. Speaking of
coffee
coffee,
lady has no coffee.
Trying to make more coffee, and I can't find the coffee.
You must have upgraded to a lav mic for these because you get up and we don't lose any audio.
Yeah, it's right here.
All right.
Yeah, it's the Rode wireless go-to, and I have 2 of them so that we can just walk around on just when we're doing video stuff, but also, yeah.
It's good for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Except for when I first started, I was accidentally on mic on the computer, which is super echoey.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, okay, we opened up with business, coffee, supply issues, global markets. Where we go next?
Okay, so here's another hypothetical question for you, and it's if you have $2,000 and 10 acres of land and 90 days to make cash flow start happening, and it is March in the year in Tennessee, what are you going to do for that first 3 months to do that? Yeah, did you all decide to match shirts today? We just accidentally matched shirts.
Does it have to be made from the property, or can we take the $2,000 and do something else with it that doesn't involve the property?
There's no terms. Those are just all the resources you have. Yep.
So restate that.
You have $2,000 and 90 days to create cash flow. You also have a 10-acre property and time.
I don't know. To me, the property is irrelevant there unless you want to create that restriction. So I have to do something with it. Like my thought is I have all sort of initiatives right now that I could plug it into. So I need to restrict myself that I don't have that. Right?
Yeah.
Like
pretend you don't have that.
I mean,
but you can build that.
Yeah. If a person has like the amount of money they have to do something with this $2,000 and they don't have any idea what to do with it, my statement is you don't have enough money, right? Like you should be just focusing on raising money, not trying to flip that $2,000 into $4,000 in 90 days. If you have an idea, then you should be asking yourself the tough question: by spending the money on this idea, does it actually have a probability of returning cash flow? Because just to throw ideas out, there's 500 million of them, right? You could start going to thrift stores, taking pictures of shit and not even buying it that you think will sell, throw that shit on sites like eBay and Etsy, and then, take bids on it. And if one sells, go get it. And if it's sold out, just refund the money and say, hey, somebody got ahead of you on a different platform or something. Like that would be a super easy thing to do that you don't even have to spend the money until you actually get the order. So that would be like just a one-off right there that you could do real easy to start, getting cash flow. If all you need is money, you can go deliver packages or food. So, I mean, to me, actually moving into the mindset of the entrepreneur is a switch that has to happen. And if you haven't made that switch yet and you don't know what direction you want to take that, I'm not really sure spending that money is going to do anything other than buy you a bunch of business cards or something.
Yeah, I'm with John Bateman. I'd be out mowing lawns. Like,
yes,
no bullshit. Like, do I already have a truck and trailer and a mower, 3 mowers? I do. Could I do that with $2,000? I could. I would show up with a small ass riding lawnmower and mow that lawn and take that. I'd try to get 5-6 of those a day, take that money, flip it into another one. And I'd just do what I had to do until it's a little bit bigger. And then I wouldn't be mowing lawns for more than, that season, but you can do that and, make good. All you gotta do is show up. Like, I'm not even looking for the the multi-discount. We're just going to deal with the ones that are easy, or bush hogging. I can rent a skid steer, with a bush hog on that thing and go bush hog that property. And I mean, they're doing $1,000 an acre and I'm riding around in an air conditioned machine listening to podcasts. And if it's in your area, the rental company will drop it at the property. You don't even have to transport it.
Yeah. I mean, if the 10-acre property has a 2-acre lake on it, though, I might call up a stocking truck, throw a bunch of fish in it, and put up a sign. Right? I mean,
yeah.
When you look at 10 acres, like if you're actually going to put that into some sort of actual, like an agricultural concern, you're not doing a 60, 90-day flip on cash flow. You're making a much more long-term investment. You could probably buy the electrical fencing you need to start running sheep or something like that with that, or start running chickens or whatever. But you're only going to make so much money doing that out of the gate, and you're going to have a delay until harvest time. And then you have to front market it, or you just end up with a bunch of animals you can't sell.
Yeah, we can grow the chickens super fast. The people don't want chickens. They want chicken meat.
Yeah. And then there's a bottleneck there. So, I mean, if you're looking at 10 acres, you need to be thinking, I mean, if I was going to develop 10 acres and I wanted cash flow from the property, I would build a fucking resort with tiny houses. That's what I would do. Low cost real estate, like super low cost real estate, entry level. Put in some pads, buy some fucked up old trailers, fix them up, throw them on there. That's your base. Then start building nicer ones as the cash flow comes in. That's another way you can take that.
A lot of guys are putting in pads for trailers and RVs. Tim
neighbor did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
My neighbor put in 5
RV storage too. You don't even have to have people there.
My neighbor did 5. 3 of them are already full, and he has a sign out front. The one thing you can discriminate against is age. If it's against young people, that's totally acceptable to the government. So he has a 55 and over RV park, but it's just 5 pads. And I get why he does that, because people that are 55 and over don't cause fucking problems.
Yeah.
They don't have parties till 2 o'clock in the morning and shit like that. Right. So, and
This
to be
is a
fair,
good
I haven't
one
heard
here.
a sound from over there other than like when they had the machinery in digging up the ground to put the septic in. That was the only sound I've heard since it started.
That's great. This is a really good one. Coming from my HVAC days before I got my degree, I would go around to do service calls. I could have all the tools I need for 90% of the work for that. And that's one, if you follow Tad, he has all sorts of videos on YouTube about how to do stuff like that. Like you could go clean mini splits. He has a great tutorial on how to clean a mini split, and people don't want to deal with that. And the equipment, like the buy-in, he sent me links to everything. And it was about $1,200 for if you get the good stuff, which is going to make your whole life easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're looking at what, $80 to $120 a pop.
Yeah. There's an older retired dude here. He went out and bought a 6-yard dump trailer.
Yep.
And he already had a pickup truck. And he does anything from I need a load of dirt or mulch or something like that, where that capacity really helps, to I just bought a washer and dryer from Lowe's, and the delivery on it is $150, and it's 10 minutes away. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it for 80.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he does not have to do any real work for that, because he goes up, and when they say, hey, okay, it's here. Yeah, put it in my trailer for me, man. I'm an old dude. I can't. So they load it. And when he gets it there, he gets paid to bring it to you.
Yeah.
So there it is, right? If it's dirt or something, he'll back it where you want it and dump it. But otherwise, like, here's your shit. And he'll help you get it off the trailer and all. But, like, he's like, I don't do anything in somebody's house, because if a wall gets scratched or anything like that, then it's on me. I'm responsible for your shit from the store to here. And then it's between you and the manufacturer and the store. I don't get involved. Kind of like I do with my events. Like, your happiness is my responsibility when you step on my property, and ceases to be my responsibility when you step off. People are like, can you like arrange pickup at the airport? No, I don't. I'm not in the taxi business. There's Uber, there's Lyft, there's Black Lane. There's a private Telegram group where you can organize ride shares with others, but I don't touch that because there's enough moving parts. And that's one big thing. Like, the smaller you are, the less you should fucking do for people outside of the specific scope that you are in the business of doing, because it will eat you alive. Like, you'll start promising shit, and then people actually, it's funny when you promise shit, people expect you to do it. Right? Like, you say, I'll customize it for you, because you tell John, I want this customized. He's like, yeah, whatever. Like, it's just
Yeah.
I even tried it years ago. I'm like, I just give me a price. I got no answer. Like, just tell me how much you want. Like, fuck, I don't expect it for free. You should buy one of these instead. Fuck, I don't want that.
It's more hassle for me to bill you than to...
If you live in an area like I'm at,
I'm not
cleaning houses,
complaining. It's a
because
good
there's
policy.
so many vacation rentals is another one you can do. It's funny how all of these ideas have nothing to do with the 10 acres, except for the RV parking.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if
No,
we
that
lock
would be
it
a good
down
one,
to,
but I can't do that for $2,000.
if we lock it down to 10 acres, I mean, if you had 10 acres, if I just had a 10-acre lot with easy accessibility, I would use it as a materials dump, right? If you need to dump concrete, put it here. You need to dump soil, put it here. You need to dump wood, put it here. And then I'd bring in a wood chipper. And then I would bring in a pulverizer and turn those materials into usable materials, or have a lot there where they can come and then eventually they're buying gravel, right? We have guys bring that shit in here, or we have a service taking it out of here, and then put storage units, just lock storage, put storage units in a row. And then you're charging for unair conditioned storage. We see that around also.
There's a guy just up the road here. He probably has about 3 or 4 acres, and he does firewood. And he gets all his firewood for free from tree trimming companies that have to pay to get rid of it. But he is kind of dialed in that he has his people. He's talking. It's like you can't just go there. You have to be his client. And he doesn't take slash. And I talked to him about that, and he said because the kind of wood chipper you need to do that kind of work is like $80,000.
It's a drum.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to invest that much money in something that I'm never going to get my capital back. So most of those guys that do that anyway, they have chippers, and all they do is leave all the big logs and shit because that's what they really have to pay to get rid of. And so they just throw all that heavy lumber, like it's not split or anything or cut to size. They just back in and just push it the fuck off the truck. And then he splits it and stacks it, and he sells firewood every year. And he doesn't sell like, a rick or a cord or something like that. He has tons of little like the mom and pop owned convenience stores and shit where you buy like 3 pieces of wood for fucking $2. And he's selling for about whatever they're selling for. He's selling for half of it. That's what he said. Pretty much I go in, we make a deal, and whatever they charge, I charge half.
And there's companies that make, the little rotisserie thing. You put your pieces of wood in these bands and you turn it and it bands it up, and then it puts the handle on and everything. You can get as automated with firewood as you can possibly imagine. Yeah.
I think he's doing that. Like it's just bundled with like the shit they put around boxes.
Yep.
Like those bands like that. Yeah. I don't think it's have handles, but it bundles, like he just throws them in there and whack.
Yeah.
Whack. Whack.
Yeah. There's whole YouTube.
If his delivery thing is he has fucking, he does have a Bobcat with forks, like a forklift, and he just has IDCs with the tops cut off.
Yep.
And he just puts them out in front of the store. And when they get low, instead of wasting time loading them, he brings a new fully loaded one in, sets it right next to it. If the other one's pretty light, throws the shit in and takes the pallet back.
Yep.
And so he's like, I don't even work that much because I only work heavily from about October to January because that's when people buy that shit.
Yeah, which makes sense.
And I said, well, what about any of the campgrounds? He goes, no, those fuckers want it all the time. I don't want to do that. Right. But the dude's like older than us, and he doesn't want to work hard anymore. But he doesn't want to live on Social Security. And most of that money is, just we call it fence post money. You guys
I call it money I never earned or mine.
What money? What money? He's not charging the people that are dropping the shit off. He's doing basically a cash on delivery deal with private gas station owners who are also selling most of that shit for cash. So,
So Jennifer says, we're looking at a property already set up with horse stalls. Would I need additional insurance if I were boarding people's horses?
Fuck yes, you would. Horses are worse than taking care of people's kids.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
In every way, you need insurance because the horse can get hurt. The person who's boarding the horse, who's responsible for the horse, can get hurt with the horse that they own on your property, and that can come back to you. If you have any employees, which if I had horse stalls like that, they're going to see, that's the other thing. People that board horses don't want to like come every day and take care of their horse. They want somebody to muck out the stalls, walk the horse, brush the horse, basically care for the horse. So if you're not going to do that or not always do that, then you're having employees and then they can get hurt. And so there's that's a conversation for an insurance agent familiar with the business. And I'll throw that on top of it. Anytime you step outside of like a normal everyday business that's very, very typical, try to find an insurance agent who is specifically, they don't have to be only in your business. You can't make money that way, but somebody that has insured other people doing what you do because they're going to know things that was the farmer's commercial. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. Like you're looking for the individual agent like that knows like, hey, this is a hole in coverage. And the funny thing is, a lot of times those holes, and people are already discussing, like sleazy insurance agent upsell you. Usually those little holes that you plug are fucking cheap to plug. It's an extra $11 a month or something, and it gives you like another $1 million of liability protection on some weird shit that probably won't happen, but if it does, you're just screwed.
Yeah, so I met with a lady who owns a farm near me the other morning just to share some best practices. And she was telling me for her insurance on the farm to let people come on farm to pick up the meat they bought from her, because she has horses on the farm nowhere near where they're going to be. Some agents wouldn't cover her at all, and it doubled the price. That was because of horses. Okay, what are some good marketing tips for a beginning business?
Short form content, you're going to spend a ton of time on long form. You don't even have to do long form anymore, just short form content.
Convey the value of what you sell, not what you sell. What does the consumer benefit by buying the thing that you're selling? Now, some things are pretty self-evident. John makes things like chest rigs. Like if you're buying a chest rig, but there's still room in there to convey what the differentiating things are. But there's the old statement of features tell, benefits sell. And a lot of things that rhyme are just bullshit some motivational speaker made up, but that one is dead on. People buy things that they do not need only because they want them. And wants are driven by emotions. And emotions are driven, when it comes to being a consumer, by the benefit you will receive in purchasing the thing. If it's a big brand and it's some kind of fancy shirt or something, maybe it's you'll fit in with the in crowd or whatever. That's kind of outside of our wheelhouse. But if you were selling something like, I don't know, you had that 10 acres and you were doing John's idea of like a place to drop your stuff, you'll save money by dropping here. We're conveniently located. You'll be faster because those guys are always dropping that shit at the end of their day. They want to get home. They want to get out. If I'm the owner, I want my employee to drop that shit and get out of there. I don't want them sitting in that's why I try to get wood chips from these people that dump down at this place down here where they dump all their wood chips and they pay to get in there. That line at 4:30 is all the way out to the highway. It's freaking half mile long. Well, that dude sitting in that truck doesn't own the company. Some guy's paying him by the hour to sit in that line and then paying that person to take it. I'm like, in and out. So I would be marketing whatever the most beneficial things are. What is the value you deliver to the customer that they retain after the transaction's over? And that's that is marketing as a whole if it's done right.
Yeah. So Edgy American Blade said, I grew my business 100% online. I'm disabled and making more money than I have in my entire life. Edgy American Blades does one thing. Does anybody know what he does?
Not make enough knives.
Not make enough knives.
That might be perfect.
He makes knives. So the other thing I would say is, as an entrepreneur starting your business, sometimes you go through this phase of starting multiple things. And which ones of those are making you money? And cut the ones that aren't. I'm in a phase of that right now, rapidly jettisoning the things that take my time but don't make me money.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really hard because I really like the thing that I'm doing that isn't making me money, but also money's good. It gets me over a lot of hurdles, and that's the deal. So especially knowing who asked that question and how many things you do and you sell, what that you're selling makes you money now.
Money fixes everything. Literally almost, unless it's some health issue. And even then, money will fix a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But money it buys you time. It buys you options. Everything you're doing in a panic every day, it all goes away if you just had money. You wouldn't have to do none of that shit. Money is the root of all evil is some bullshit that people with no money use as an excuse to convince you that what they're doing is okay for lack of doing nothing. That's almost all. Money fixes fucking almost everything.
Yeah.
Even the things it doesn't fix, you're still better off. I don't want cancer, but being broke and having cancer is a fucking lot. The same cancer, same stage. A lot harder to be broke and deal with it than to have lots of money and deal with it. If I have lots of money and deal with it, I can not work for a couple of days while I'll go get treatments. And without freaking out that I'm going to lose my apartment while I am being treated for a disease, right? There's people that have to make that. That's a hard choice. Do I go to 2 treatments this week, or do I keep my job? I know people are like, nobody should be fired for that. I understand the sentiment, but what is the size of the company? If they work for Hewlett Packard, they're not gonna be, right? If they have 50,000 employees and one guy's not there for a couple of days, it's no big deal. For a lot of small companies, you lose an employee. That could be 30%, 20%, even 10% of your workforce. That hurts, especially if they're critical. And then you need someone to do what they do when they're not there. And then nobody's going to work for you 2 days a week. And it puts an employer in a tough position too. You don't want to feel like you're casting out person to the wolves. And most guys will try and do whatever they can to accommodate that. But there's points where if my company doesn't operate sufficiently, not only do I have to not pay you anymore, I have to not pay anybody anymore. And that's kind of Machiavellian, but it's real. So anytime you can increase your wealth, you can increase your stability no matter what comes.
How
I
early
kind of miss the days when teenagers wanted an hour or two a day job to make side cash. Like that, I just cannot find that. I used to, like 15 years ago, I could get that here where I live.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 2 hours a day is kind of a perfect part-time use of that type of labor. 16 to 20-year-old, you know, off for college in the summer or high school, and they have a couple hours in the afternoon. Because if you only have them for an hour, it's hard to really get them into a routine where they're doing something productive enough to warrant it. But if you can get them about 2-3 hours at that, 3 or 4 days a week, you can get a lot of work done. They get experience, they get a reference. But honestly, life's too easy for people in that age bracket anymore economically. Parents fucking give kids, parents are going into debt with credit cards to give kids all the shit that they want. And and if that's you listening to this, don't, because you're not helping them.
Ejari or Ejari 20. You're Gary. That's Gary Johnson, right? How early did you pay that off, and how did you go about doing that?
Yeah, so this is somebody who said they just paid their ranch off on Friday and they're sharing it.
Yeah, he's got incredible property.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Yeah. This guy here, this is the Blades guy. John pushed me to get out of bed and get to work. My depression magically disappeared when I started working. That makes me think of the guy at one of the last workshops y'all did that like we just saw like a baby deer in the headlights when he asked you, but your basic answer was you can't be depressed while you're doing push-ups till you can't move.
So he's doing really well too.
You know who doesn't have depression? Laborers, dudes outside in the sunlight. When you get sunlight on your skin, depression magically goes away. You might be depressed while you're drinking on the weekend, sitting in your apartment doing nothing, but you don't think about that depression. You're not thinking about killing yourself while you're out doing physical labor. It goes away. Gary,
get a sledgehammer and an old tire.
Yeah,
that's your, instead of Ritalin or no, I don't. That's not for depression, but whatever, Prozac or whatever, right? Get a big truck tire and a sledgehammer. And when you feel depressed, go beat that thing till your arms feel like they're going to fall off. You'll stop being, or do what I get a heavy bag. You know, just if you've never hit a heavy bag before, learn how to throw a punch so you don't fuck yourself up. And
for all you dudes that are about to say I can't afford that, get a fucking wheel. Like you need a wheelbarrow anyways. If you can't afford it, you need a wheelbarrow and a shovel. Get a wheelbarrow and fill that thing up with sand. You're going to get tired filling it up with sand, wet wood mulch, whatever, and then wheel that thing around. Like you're going to get toned. Your entire body, you're going to hurt places you didn't know you had muscles, and you're going to have some sense of accomplishment that you worked out. You're going to sweat, and the depression is going to ooze out of you along with the butter.
Hey, planks are free.
Yeah.
Right? Planks are free. Just do planks. Who was the guy? There was a guy at my last workshop, Nicole, that had worked with Sonny. And he took some challenge, like do planks for so long a day for 90 days in a row or something. That
Worm is his online handle.
Yeah, and he was like the only one out of the whole group.
He'll be at my workshop.
Did it, but he said it like changed his whole life.
Yeah, so Sonny was like, if you want to change your life, do a plank every morning until you can't hold the plank anymore on your fists.
I think that was the whole thing.
That was it. And so like everybody who's sitting around the table, maybe half of them commit to doing it.
Yeah.
And then one person got it done, and his life continues to turn around. He continues to do it. There's a whole Telegram group called the Planking Crew that checks in. One guy on it just finished 75 hard since your workshop. And it's funny how simple that solution is, yet how hard it is for people to do it. Whether it's planking or working out every day, whatever it is. But that physical thing makes a huge difference. And I am totally guilty of like getting that going and then letting what John would call the bitch voice come in sometimes and not do it every day, right? Like one of my questions is, when you lose motivation, what do you do? And the answer is you have to make yourself do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Those Russian military guys are big on shit like that too. Like Valery Azanov is kind of contemporary of Sonny's. His thing was, you get up every morning. The first thing you do one push-up, just one push-up. Okay, I can do that. You must take 2 minutes to do this push-up.
Yeah, that's it. There it is, right there. Yeah, 5-minute push-up. I watched Lewis, who lives back to Sonny now. I don't know if that's out there. Lewis just bought a shitload of property, and they're doing a massive range out there.
Sweet.
And that he trains with Sonny and teaches with Sonny every day. And while he was working for me, I would go in the back, and he's just standing, he's just holding a plank position, and he's doing these minute push-ups. And it's a change. It's a life changer. And any of you guys, anybody listening to this, can go to Texas and take the class. You can go do any of the classes with those guys. Like if you want to be part of that crew, when you see those dudes show up, when you used to see Jaeger show up, or you'd see Sonny show up, right? And he's got all those dudes. Those guys all started. They didn't start as instructors or as part of those families. They started by taking a class, and then they took another class. And that's the cost of admission. That's how you get there.
Yeah. So a friend of mine who, I don't know that he was in the best of shape when he started it, took Sonny's fear inoculum class.
Oh yeah.
Like somebody who's not a fighter, not like totally professional grade, white collar guy, just decided I got to change something in me. So I'm going to go take this class. And I talked to him a few times about it in between. And he was like, well, you know, it's been hard. It's been really good. I'm not sure that it's easy to even explain what happens while you're there, but that's somebody, you know, like a lot of people will hear the name fear inoculum and not go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think part of the test is get over that piece to go. And then he was there, I don't know, a week or two. They were there with Sonny riding them basically.
I mean, I was going to add, you can come up with an excuse to avoid anything, right? There's nothing that you can be presented with as an opportunity to better yourself that you cannot come up with an excuse with. In fact, your brain will generally spit 3 out, even if you're going to do it, that you have to get through. And like the excuse of like, can't travel down to Texas. I can't afford a gym membership. Take a fucking walk. I mean, that would be, you know, your first step. Just get up in the morning, get up earlier than you need to, 15 minutes, and take 10 minutes of that and take a walk and think about your day. Like, is that going to make you ripped? No. Is it going to get you in shape? No. But it might long term, because it will start to rewire the way that you think. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, well, I could do that. And it's kind of a reapplication of Jordan Peterson, who I really don't listen to him, but I know the one thing that I know him for is the whole clean your room speech, right? And he talks about, and I see people criticizing it. And I'm like, so you don't get metaphors at all. Like, because they're like, that's not going to help me if I clean my room. Oh my God, what's wrong with, like, you just want to have a problem, right? But for those who haven't heard the speech, it's basically like you have this person, their whole fucking house is a wreck, and they just can't get their shit put away. Like, it's just you walk in, everybody's seen a place like this, or it looks like a Hoarders episode. And then you go into the bedroom and it's worse. And you say, okay, you can't clean your house, clean your room. And the person's like, they sit there and look at it, and it's just too much. You say, okay, organize your clothes in your dresser. Still can't do it. Okay. Can you put all your socks in your sock drawer properly? And if they won't take that step, they're not ready. If they'll take that step, immediately after that, it's like, well, that wasn't that hard. I can do the underwear, and then I can do all the shirts, and then all of a sudden all the clothes are off the floor, and then, well, I can make the bed. Well, that wasn't that hard. I'll make the bed in the morning, and the next thing, the whole house is clean. That's not a house, for fuck's sake. It's your life.
Clean the
That's
bathroom.
your life. Good Lord, people. And that one thing, taking a walk every morning, getting up 15 minutes early, that's part of what I'm going to be talking about at Nicole's this coming month. It is amazing what it is. And this is my big thing. I said this yesterday. You do not have to suck or be bad or be deeply flawed to want to be better. I think there's a lot of people out there that are doing really well in your life. And when you start talking about stuff like that, I don't need that. Biological organism. When you plateau, you have only one place to go, down. So unless you're striving to be a better man or woman every day, 1% a week improvement, you know, or 1% a month is 12% a year. Do that in 8 areas of your life at the same time. Tiny little steps. It's amazing what it can do for you.
So is Amanda doing soap still, John?
No, I don't have time for Amanda to do soap. It costs me too much money for Amanda to do soap when her time, equal amount of time spent, so much more money inside of the company. And here's the deal. To do soap, it's like 8 hours. It needs a block of 8 hours of Amanda sitting here. So the time for that to happen is on the weekends. And for instance, I wanted to leave town this weekend, right? Well, Amanda's going with me. It's not profitable. And we sell $25 bars of soap, and it's still not profitable to do it. Yes, she's going to make grunt proof. What's that, man? She's going to make some soap. It's a question of when is she going to make the soap?
Yeah.
There's plenty of people making. Get with Healthy Soap Mama. She makes great soap. Good person. You know her. She's super fun. Her husband's awesome. He's taught classes here. Like, they're good people. Buy her soap.
Buy her soap, and I think she just moved to a different place.
They bought a farm.
Business, yeah, because the soap business has done so well. So
there's a dude with a huge YouTube channel, and he just interviews people who have. I think you have to have made $1 million to be on his channel. And he interviewed, and I'm like, fuck, I want to be on that dude's show. And she was on the show. It was super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, Jack. You had a question about 4,000 years ago. Do you still plan on making a video about your grow box? Because
yeah, boy, I've had other shit going on, man. But let me, for everybody out there, explain to you what that was. It's really a cloning box or a rooting box. All you really need, folks, is get yourself a shallow Rubbermaid tub. Get a freaking a hole saw for your drill of the right size. Cut a bunch of holes in the top. Fill it up like to within a couple inches of the top with water, just water, and put your plants for cloning in there with whatever kind of you can make collars out of, like pool tubes, the floating, what are those things called? Pool noodles. You can make collars out of the insulation you put on pipes so they don't freeze, stuff like that. Or you can get the little cups. I don't like those though, because then when the roots grow through, you have to hurt them to pull them out. Get a freaking $15 Tetra Whisper pump. You can find them on Amazon. It's like, or you can go like the fish store or Walmart and get 2 of the long stones, the long air stones, and run a splitter. Or if you get a pump with 2, you just put 2 tubes on it and split it like halfway in between the thing so that it bubbles and it sparkles lots of little water droplets up onto your plants, and stick anything in there. And if it doesn't root, it needs more than that. But you can root almost anything that way if you root a softwood. So I did say I was going to do that, and I've just been scrambling. I got to get everything that's going in the ground at least 3 weeks before I leave, so it's all hardened off and in. So all Dorothy has to do while I'm gone is water, because I don't want to leave her with, hey, I have 150 plants still in racks to take care of. So I've just have been on other priorities, plus writing 2 new books. So.
Because once you start writing 1 book, you write 2 books at the same time.
Yeah, I just redid. I'm about to send this off to Laura today, who's my new editor, the 2nd edition of the first book, Laws of Life. And 2 weeks ago, I sent her the Laws of Life 2 book. So since November, I have created a 2nd edition, written an entirely new book. And part of it is some of the shit we were just talking about, changing what you do in the morning. I just say that, like, if you come up with the right morning routine, imagine like taking Adderall, but you can shut off the effects when you're done with them. You go into a state of hyper focus if you're interested in your work. And I'm at a point now, I have more done at 9:30 than I used to have done at 11:30. And if you do the math, I actually lost at least 2 hours because I'm doing other things in the interim. Like, I'm getting up and doing that routine. I'm spending an hour like writing my books and shit, which is not my typical get ready for podcast type day.
Yeah. It is amazing how the morning routine adjustments make a huge difference.
Yeah, I should write that book that guy's talking about. Book I never did. I started freaking 15 years ago on 22 long rifles and developing rifle skills with a 22. Here's my thing about that. I don't think that book's going to make me any money. And I know that sounds kind of mercenary, but like, if I'm going to take the time to write a book, I made a really good income off my first book, and I want to write something that's going to sell well. And the other thing is, like, an author is, unless you're going to be Tom Clancy or some shit, you're not going to make a living as an author. It's a piece of how you make a living. So I want things that are broad enough to bring people into the broader community of businesses that I run, or it's not worth writing a book for. So it has to both make me a profit and it has to funnel. And like one of the things I can tell now just by the fact that I'm continuing to get orders, and obviously that surged through my audience in the beginning. I'm getting tons of people buying my book now, 100, 120 a month that I can kind of tell are not podcast listeners. And so every one of those now is exposed to the mind virus of Jack Spirko. And so hopefully that will build the entire empire. And that's how, if you're going to be an author, that's kind of the approach. You have to have it. It has to be attached to something. I remember one time Mark Shepard at a permaculture event, because you got all these young guys. Everybody wants a nonprofit, because apparently profit's evil in the permaculture space. And he said a nonprofit without a successful for-profit tied to it is a professional begging organization. In other words, these two things go together. They don't go separate. And I think that with a book authorship, you have to kind of think the same way. How does this plug into everything else that I do? Again, unless you're Tom Clancy or something.
Are you Tom Clancy?
I am not.
Neither am I.
Not Tom Clancy.
Another opportunity.
Or Jack Carr, any of those guys, right? Or
yeah.
And I certainly ain't a reincarnation of Shakespeare. So
yeah.
Do you read some of Jack Carr's stuff? Jack Spirko?
I really haven't. I got like a ton of the audios of Brad Thor stuff, and I just haven't been in that genre lately. I've been more in the business development type genre, and also going into a lot of like the older works, like My Life and Work by Henry Ford would be an example.
Got it. I built a lot of gear for him when he was in the Navy. If you scroll back on his Instagram, you will see.
Oh, cool.
A lot of stuff of him wearing SOE kit out of mom's garage.
Really?
Yeah.
His freaking publisher keeps agreeing to get him on the show and then doesn't do it.
I might be able to put you in touch with him.
That'd be cool, because I would like to interview him.
Yeah. He's
an interesting dude.
Yeah, it'd be great.
3 things on paper.
3 things on paper.
3 things on paper. I have an awesome to-do list that's 64 items long right now on my phone, but I only write 3 things on paper.
Yeah. I mean, your 3 things can be daily, but in some workflows, it's good weekly.
Yeah.
Right. People that have their workflow dialed in, they may like a lot of the things they could put on that list. They're going to do that anyway. Their day is already scheduled or is already designed into their workflow. But there's those things that need to be done. Like this one I'm going to get done this week. I'm going to do something I should have done 20 years ago. Develop a punch list for final production of the show, because I end up putting things out with yesterday's title or the wrong episode number, or I set up the feed on Rumble, but then I didn't attach it because it's a 2-step process. And so that's like a thing it's not in my normal workflow, but then becomes part of normal workflow. So it should be a task list 1B on my priority scheme, but it's been a task list. I'll do it someday until like this week. I'm fucking doing it.
Yeah. That's funny. I have that same thing on my I'm effing doing it this week, because it's like I keep producing the show on a weird schedule and forgetting to post that I did it or add it to the email thing. And then I come on Monday for my Monday mail. And I'm like, it's not there. And that's like, not that I can't recover from that, but yeah.
So what Brandel said was hold yourself accountable for the people who surround you. I think what he meant is to the people. Like when we're for you guys that don't know, Brandel makes all the videos you see.
He does such good work.
All those badass videos, that's Brandel. All the videos that look like they were done in 2 minutes, that's me. And we'll start the night before or a day before, and I'll go, hey, I want to take this concept. This is the product. And I'll give him 3 videos that we're going to make tomorrow. So he'll come in and I'll have fleshed those out a little bit more. But that's what he's talking about. Like I'm going to text the exact same thing into a group chat of myself, Amanda, Brandel, and probably Cody, because Cody will be involved in some pieces of that. And then when Miranda walks in the door, I'm going to give her some shit that has to be done in 2 hours that really she should have 5 hours to do. And then we're going to, make that happen. But it's always on that by the skin of your teeth timeline when we get a much better finished product. If we had a week to plan it out, it wouldn't be as good as, oh my God, we have to do this. Everybody's on fire and we have a quarter of the time we should have. The product's always better when we haven't flushed it out. The more time we have, the more just I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like it's just not as good.
Well, it's just like how many takes do you do for a video, right? If you do 8 takes of the same line in a video, by the 8th take, it's terrible.
The first take's always my best. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Because you're in your head, you're trying to recreate it, right?
Even if it's completely wrong.
Yeah. And that's hard for people to let go of when they do content, is they want it to be perfect, but your energy's better if you just do it.
Yep.
It is better to move than to continue to dream of perfect, right? It's better to do something. It's better to be adequate and actionable than it is to be perfect in your dreams. And that's what so many people do. They sit around waiting until they get it perfect, and they never do it because some new shining thing comes along, because you never anchor in anything, because you never catch any fish.
Yeah, that's the biggest mistake I see with people who like, hey, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm like, great, do that. And it takes them hours of editing to get the podcast done. And it's better just to record a shorter podcast if you're going to do that, and just let your ums shine through that first few. You're going to sound like an idiot anyway, right? So get them out, and you'll get better at it. Listen to them, even though it's painful. You'll learn. You'll learn.
Go dig in my archives to July and June of 2008 and see how bad it is. But you know what? People were listening to it anyway. Right. And then all I could do was get better. So all the people that were early adopters, like, fuck, this is really good now. Right. Like there's actually an advantage to the guerrilla approach. I've seen a lot of little brands come up because people attach themselves to them and they start rooting for the person behind the brand. And I've also seen some of those brands kind of lose the lesson of scarcity we started out with. Like they do a lot of money raising to be able to go into a lot larger production before they square the fact you're only selling out because your market's small. So now all of a sudden they can produce cases of what they used to produce a case a day of, and they can't sell it. And everybody that was buying with urgency no longer is, because, well, now I can order at any time. So like, as you scale production, you need to throttle production to match sales. Learn something from OPEC, right? Like they know, don't make too much oil, right? Right now, I guess that wouldn't hurt, but in normal times, don't make too much oil because you'll drive the price down, and it costs you the same amount to get it out of the ground, no matter where the price goes.
Yeah. Speaking about oil, should we be talking about any of that today? I've been purposefully like skirting the current event.
You know, another part of my new routine that I've been running now for 6 months, I don't care unless I have to. Like if I know I'm going to talk about it, I'll get the facts so that I can talk about it. But I haven't cared about this at all. And I know that's horrible because we're like blowing shit up and all. But all I've been watching is people throw shit at each other on social media, and people like rah-rahing it like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread and everything's wonderful. And then the other side doesn't say, hey, like, here's all the reasons we shouldn't do this. They're like, Iran's actually kicking our ass. And you're just like, fuck both of you. I can't touch that right now. This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. Can you imagine if like the equivalent would be our president, our cabinet, and like all the key members of Senate committees were all wiped out in one attack by a foreign government. We're like, we're actually winning. Like that. Oh, it's all so dumb. I don't know.
Yeah, guys, if Iran had blown up any of our ships or carriers, it'd be all over TikTok. Like, you wouldn't have to have the news tell you. There would be posts of people that were there videoing that shit.
There'd be uploads from sailors on the ship, right?
That's what I'm talking about. If you had to look for it, it didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. When you see a deck of an aircraft carrier in flames and the plane sitting in the middle of the flames not burning, that's a pretty good indicator that it's AI. Right.
Not to mention they're going to use that as a call to action. They want some shit like that. They need a 9/11.
Yeah.
And if Iran or China comes in and sinks one of our carriers,
oh no,
that's the Pearl Harbor moment right then.
That's glass factory moment is what that is. That's one that it's not the nukes, but there's a thing called a neutron bomb, and we have them. And you might want to look up what they do.
I'll tell you the thing that boggles my mind at this point about just people, and it shouldn't boggle my mind because I know better, is the TSA people not getting paid. And The result being that some of them don't go to work. And the result being that the lines are super long. Do you know where they were not super long? Everybody who was not using the TSA, every airport that used a private contractor, because the agents there who have to live up to the same standard were getting paid because the contractor is not dumb. They know they're eventually going to get paid, so they cover the things. And the answer is we have to fund them a different way. We have to get over this stalemate, like all of the federal answers. And the answer nobody will talk about is what? Let's do what's working.
Privatize it.
Which is what worked before.
It's like Delta and American and United should pay the people that screen the passengers. They're the ones that make the money off the people getting on the plane, and they're the ones that suffer the most financial loss if the plane goes kaboom. So let them pay for the service. And even if it was done through a government agency, they could still be the source of the funding, and therefore this would not be a fucking problem. Now, I'm not for that second option, but it's better than what we have.
Yeah.
It's all stupid. And I mean, I think the Democrats have, I hate saying anything good, but have several times tried to offer like one-page things to fund just TSA. And the Republicans don't want to yield on that because, like, well, we actually need to fund all of Homeland Security. But this is a huge problem. It's a massive problem. I'm hoping it's solved by the time I fly to Nashville.
Well, they got paid.
They're paying them now, right?
Yeah.
Somehow.
Well, I can say that in Nashville, I've not heard about crazy lines, first of all.
It's only a few places.
But
yeah, my mom flew here in the middle of that, and the airport she flew out of, I know, has a privatized contract, so it never matters. And then Nashville, like everybody I know who's flown out of there hasn't had the issue.
So you know they're government employees. You know this is going to get solved. And you know they're going to get back pay if they work, right? Those are all givens. And I'm really surprised that no banks have stepped up and offered what they offer for soldiers, sellers, airmen, and Marines when this happens, which is you have direct deposit in our bank. We know what you get paid every week. We'll just basically give you an interest-free loan until the money comes in. And then when the money comes in, we'll just take it automatically. Because that's what like 99% of guys in the Army and the Marine Corps and all did during shutdowns that affected their pay.
And maybe that is happening, right? Doesn't the TSA actually have a credit union?
You would think.
I would assume that this is more crazy political whack jobs not showing up to work.
There's a lot of guys not working, and a lot of them quit, John. So they're not. If you get paid, you're probably not quitting. And then Trump sent to a couple airports that had the worst problems. He sent ICE agents there.
Yeah.
And they got like a 40-hour training on how to screen from TSA people, and they started moving the lines. And of course, the Democrats were screaming, "It's causing chaos." Why would that cause chaos? I don't understand how more people doing the job that needs to be done. They weren't arresting anybody, causing chaos. But then the lines went down further than you would expect because apparently a whole bunch of people didn't go to the airport that they already had a ticket for. I wonder why that would be.
Did you hear an aircraft took off, private airplane took off, turned off all of its transponders, direct course to Air Force One. So much so they deployed F-16s. This happened on Saturday or Sunday. They deployed F-16s.
No, I did not hear this.
F-16s actually fired flares. They popped chaff.
Yeah.
They got this guy down. And at the same time, or the reporting makes it sound same or similar time, dude takes off on a passenger plane headed out of Atlanta, I believe. And it made it sound like it was headed towards Florida, but I never could find that. Black dude between the age of 50 and 60 screaming that he has a bomb. He's going to kill the people in the seats next to him. And he is talking and texting, they find out, back and forth with two other similar gentlemen on the aircraft in French. Also happened at the same time. If you search for this, you will find a lot of YouTube reporting on it, but it never went out public. When I brought it up yesterday, nobody knew anything about it.
I've not heard about it, no.
Now, there was also one that took off out of Nashville 1 to 2 weeks ago. Same situation. Middle Eastern dude starts screaming that he has a bomb and he's going to blow the plane up. And they had actually not ever even, I don't think they even took off out of Nashville, or maybe they grounded and landed in Nashville.
Yeah, there was one grounded in Atlanta with somebody losing their mind. No, it was Detroit.
Yeah.
New York to Chicago. They grounded it in Detroit, and it took people 8 or 9 hours to get to Chicago because they had to search the whole plane to make sure there wasn't a bomb. That's what they didn't write. But
People are doing that. That doesn't work really good since September 11th, right?
Yeah.
Like, I got a bomb. Just like instant, like ass beating. Like we're not doing this whole. You're taking the plane to.
Yeah, guys boarded the plane with machine guns and took the guy off.
Yeah.
But apparently,
remember the guy that tried to blow up his shoe? He had a bomb in his shoe.
Yeah, the shoe bomb guy.
They beat the shit out of that guy. They tied him up with seatbelt extenders, and some doctor on the plane had the stewardess go get the med kit and doped him up with a bunch of shit. Like, because I remember when I was a kid, it seemed like every other month somebody was hijacking a plane somewhere. Right. And what they always did is took the plane and they'd say, take the plane to this place. And then they would try to negotiate something. And I remember a couple of times where like they were shooting a hostage an hour and shit like that. And since September 11th, you notice that's never happened again. No one's actually been able to take over an aircraft. Like it rewrote the entire, how do you handle this thing? But what you're hitting on, John, is how much disruption you can cause without actually having a bomb.
Yeah, they did
like
not
swatting a person's house, but you're doing it in real time and you're part of it.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, you're risking getting shot down though too.
Yeah, because a lot of those planes have air marshals on them now.
I heard they took all the air marshals off. I don't know. I
probably don't have money. They're paid by Homeland Security.
No, like a while ago, they've taken all the air marshals off. I don't know whether they're back on board or not.
Yeah.
Good question.
But the first thing they do when one of these guys does this is they tell all the passengers to put their heads down and put their hands up.
Okay.
Yep.
And they did that on both of these flights.
Which makes sense.
So that responders know who the problem is.
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
You're not saying the guy with the bomb's doing that, like
correct.
Control the crowd. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you don't want to be the person with your head up and your hands not down at that point.
Yeah. Especially if you're on the ground.
As anarchistic as we may be.
People are
That's not the time to resist.
And the people in general that start fights and shit won't leave a plane when they're told to. What do they think is going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not even talking about the terrorist shit. Like, just the people that cause the disruption. And the stewardess comes and says, look, captain said you caused a fucking problem. Get off. We're not taking off with you on a plane. Get off. And it's the same scenario every time. About 3 or 4 airport cops come in, beat the shit out of the person and drag them down the aisle. Did you really think it was going to work out any differently? Like, you were so special, they were going to be like, oh, it's you know, it's Teresa or it's Tammy or it's Bill. Yeah, we'll let you get it. What the hell?
That's usually females doing that.
It is. That's why I use
the majority of those videos are women.
Yeah. I'm going to do what I want. I really don't think that's a thing. I really don't think that's going to happen.
Out and they don't care if they hurt you on the way out.
Yeah. No, once you resist, like there's a lot of shit to bump. Like if you handcuff somebody and you're carrying them and you're going head first, there's a lot of shit to bump on the way out. And some of those guys might accidentally move a little left or right as they're carrying you off the plane. And I have no sympathy for you in that situation because that is a Darwin moment right there.
Well, it's also a rationality thing where people become irrationally angry about stupid things.
Yeah.
And that's a behavior that we are supporting culturally.
Yeah.
So it's been like that's been supported by them in other places in their life. And now they're finally in a situation where you became irrationally angry and they're still irrational at that point.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what happens in that situation is the people with the badge.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it seems so much more irrational now than it used to be. And it may just be because not enough people are, getting
you live here long
in the nose when they say stuff they probably should filter.
They are acting for the camera, right? You notice there's footage of all of it. Somebody's recording every bit of it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it doesn't look like, badge cam. It doesn't look like officer camera stuff.
No, because it's like third party, right? Like it's off of the disc.
So if it's
somebody sitting there like, I'm getting this for my Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, do they even believe they're in the right? Probably not, but they're not going to, you can't just confuse with this thing going. They've got to act for the camera.
They believe they're in the right. Like they will trick themselves into thinking they're right.
Yeah. Yeah, I also think part of why it's women in general that do this more. It's not just planes; it's like restaurants and shit too, where they literally end up getting thrown out. Because, and I'm not saying we should hit women. I'm just saying this is reality. We don't punch women in the head when they do that. Like when a man acts that way in a public place, there's a good chance some other dude, not a law enforcement officer, is going to punch him in the head and say, "Knock it the fuck off." And that's been the case for most of modern history. And I think that emboldens some people, like, well, nobody's going to hit me, or not even think about it. Like, just since it never happened, because most guys, by the time you're in high school, at some point you said some shit you shouldn't have said, and somebody punched you in the face, and you're like, oh, I learned something from that, right? Like, and I mean everybody that happens to.
Like all these prank kids, like you back up 20, 30 years ago and did that shit to a man, the man would have slapped the shit out of you. And that would have been the end of it.
Yeah, some still do. And then you always see, like, used to be some young cocky ass kid streamer get smacked in the face. And then you see that look on their face. And what that look is, I have never been held accountable for anything in my life. And I am in total shock that it just happened. I've seen plenty of instances of that. Some kid walking around or whatever. And every once in a while, they'll just pick the wrong guy on the wrong day and just, or you see like his buddy running, bro, it's a prank. And the guy's just like, I don't give a fuck.
One of them got shot over it.
That's tragic, sort of.
Yeah, one of them got shot, and they said he was justifiable, and the shooter was justifiable in that. I don't remember where that happened. It was in a mall.
Yeah.
I've
seen TV shows where they do shit like what would happen, and like a elevator door opens and somebody's like strangling somebody with a garrote or something, and I'm like, man, there's places you do that in like an office building in Texas, and there's 5 dudes waiting to get on the elevator. There's a pretty high chance one of them's armed,
or more of them. Depending.
Yeah, I'm saying, but 20% is a pretty good number to lay on right there. About 20% of people probably have a carry permit in the state, and like that's a lot. That's pretty high odds. That's once you're at 5, you're at 100%. Like, and I guess they do that in places where they know people aren't going to be armed or something. I don't know.
I mean, how do you ever know?
Yeah, how do you know? How do you know I'm not an off-duty cop and you didn't tell me? Right? Like, because a lot of places I can't carry, an off-duty cop can carry. There's almost nowhere a federal law enforcement officer can't carry.
Yeah.
Almost nowhere. Like some courthouses and all, even that you can't. But like federal law enforcement, when it says you can't carry in my store or whatever, and it doesn't matter.
I mean, pranks are fun, but knowing the line for pranks is also good.
Well, there's pranks and stupid pranks, right? Yeah. Pranks are like, I don't know, I put salt in the sugar thing that you use for your coffee, right? Unless it's the most expensive cup of coffee in the world. It's a harmless, funny prank. It's not a big deal. I don't know who you are, and you come up and get in my face at a Walmart. That's a different thing. Because first thing I'm thinking is, this person's mentally unstable. And mentally unstable people are dangerous. And I have no idea if you're about to pull a box cutter out. Yeah.
Look at this one. I saw a video this morning where a guy was pretending to kidnap his own kid from the street for a social experiment. He's going to get it eventually. Yeah, it's like, and then your kid's going to see.
There was this comedian, Dat something or other, very Korean looking dude.
Yeah.
Flat top haircut, big tall guy. And part of his comedy bit, and it was from listening to interviews with him and stuff, this was like a true story that he turned into comedy. His daughter, he's married to an American, and his daughter is like curly blonde hair, blue eyes. And so she throws a tantrum at the mall, and he's got her like tucked under his arm like a suitcase. And it caused, like, I can't go into his bit, but it caused all kinds of shit because you see this Asian dude running with a little blonde girl down the halls of a mall.
Yeah. Kids do that sometimes.
Ooh, Matapaka, make throat punches great again. John, you have a new t-shirt, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think this is his newest one. You just released one this week, didn't you?
No, this is the new one.
This is it?
This is the one I just got. I think there were two.
I know, I just got it too. That's why we all wore it today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sold out of these in minutes.
I bet.
Well, I really like the shirts that are kind of minimalist front and then larger design on the back. That's really my thing, other than a big print. So,
yeah,
we should probably show the back.
Yeah. Which one of us wants to do that?
I don't.
Here, I'll turn around.
All right, you turn around.
But you have to tell me if I have to be taller.
You have to lift your hair.
Oh, I have one arm, dude.
There you go. All right, there we go.
Can you actually see it?
Yeah, we're good. There you go.
Okay.
You can sit down now.
You cannot buy this T-shirt because they're sold out already.
Yeah, they're very sold out.
I blew it up so that it was just you on the frame, so everybody could see what you actually
Yeah,
had.
I figured. Ugh. This one arm crap is for the birds. I got probably 3 more weeks of it.
I don't know who this dude is or who his wife is, but she's based, man. My wife always dreams of giving a good throat punch.
Sagewood Coastal, what's your new business going to do, man?
Sagewood.
Sagewood? Do you know who Sagewood is, John?
I do not.
Okay.
I like the name, though.
Yeah, I do too.
I hear Sagewood, and I think you're like smoking out demons and bad spirits and stuff.
Yeah.
But you could be making really cool things out of the wood of sage.
Yeah, it's just not big.
No, it isn't big, but like if you think about sagebrush in the desert, it has some substance to it until it doesn't.
I've got some sage that's about 5 years old now, and it's got some pretty gnarly base to it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I have a really cool sage plant in my garden, but the fire ants have decided that's where they want to be so bad.
Oh, they made it to your place, huh?
Oh, no, they've been. Yeah. Remember how you found them in my compost last year? Yeah. No, they are in my raised beds, in 2 of them in particular, and we just keep orange oiling them and they keep coming back. And I just figure as the soil improves over time, eventually they won't like it.
Yeah.
So it got a top dressing of biochar and compost for about 5 inches. And
a lot of times when you have them where they don't die with orange oil, it's because there's some structure that the queen's under, and if she doesn't melt, they just regenerate.
Yeah, that's basically what's going on. It's the corner of a raised bed where the plant is. And
it's a step, like when they do it right next to a step coming out of a building.
Yeah.
Like a concrete, they're usually under it. And then we need some Steven Reisner formulas to get rid of them, or you got to
program some fungus to go eat them.
That's basically what he does. Is you put the shit on. There's a fast acting one. You can't use it for that. You have to use like a slower acting one that he makes, and then basically they get coated with it and they go down and everybody spreads it, and then they all mummify.
Yeah, we shall see. And I've even done the base of that corner too, with that theory in mind. But I figure eventually it's just not good. The soil's going to be something they don't like.
Yeah.
So
what I'll do in some, as long as I can do this where like the dogs aren't going to get to it or the cat or something, I'll take an empty water bottle and throw like a teaspoon of the Amdro bait pellets in there and then put that near them, and that, because about the only thing that will go in there and get that is an ant. Right? Like you're not going to like toxify other things, because then they take that as food and then they start feeding it to each other, and eventually somebody feeds it to the queen, and then because I've had them in like beds that I built out of stock tanks that I didn't really want to like flood that with orange oil and just overdo it for the plants in it. And that's what I would do, is just tuck a little bottle in there, and about 2 weeks later, they're just gone.
I should try that. I have 2 in 2 of my beds, and
just
one of my beds I've gotten them out of completely. So
you just got to put them somewhere the dogs can't get it, right? Because you don't want that.
No, nope, I don't. I need somebody to come drive fence posts for me, and I can finish fencing in the garden too.
Man, you need to buy you just need to, and it's going to suck doing it. You need a motorized fence post driver. They make motors, and
we have one that goes on some sort of impact device. But
that's what you need.
I ripped my rotator cuff.
Yeah,
so
it shouldn't be
I'm
you.
one-armed right now. It's got to be somebody, not me.
Yeah, one of the guys.
Yeah. The guys are all gone right now. Even Tactical's gone. It's been real quiet here.
Did ICE get them?
No, Nighthawk's at work. Tactical he's on walkabout. So
he's getting deported to California.
Yeah. He does speak like a Mississippi, California guy.
He does. That's why I said that. It's not that he's from Cali. It's just if you listen to him, he just sounds like some dude that hangs out on the beach every day and surfs.
He
I've never
does.
seen Tactical smoke weed, but Tactical sounds like he smokes a lot of weed.
He doesn't smoke any weed at
No,
all. That's the
it's
funny
like a
part. It just sounds
natural
like it.
state. Like
Maybe
he
Tactical
does sound like
needs
a
to smoke
stoner.
some weed.
He absolutely sounds like an old stoner.
Yep. I know. That's just who he is.
Like he could play the guy that got you tickets to get into what was the big concert in the 60s?
Woodstock?
Woodstock. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the dude that's like, yo, bro, I got some. I can get you in there.
Yes, that is a thing. Okay, so what's new at the compound, John?
Shit, I don't know. Nothing. I mean,
Nothing?
it's
Make a palooza, right?
same as it has been. Yeah, we're building lots of gear.
Yeah, it looks like it. They've
Yeah,
got a new special like every other day or something. Some
Yeah.
pretty cool stuff coming out. I really like the Harry Potter stuff that you've had.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah, it was beautiful. What advice do you have for somebody that lives somewhere where quote unquote nobody gets it around them and they're trying to build a network? Do you connect those people anyway, or what do you do?
I'm probably not the best person to ask of that. Like, I keep to myself. I have gates and fences, and we just kind of do our stuff. I know everybody's like, find your tribe, or you're going to have to go where they're at, or you're going to have to put out bat signals so they come to where you're at. But you got to have
Jack?
conversations with people.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the same thing. I got fencing and I got barbed wire on mine. Like, so I'm a little prickly, but I mean, some of the suggestions I've seen that have actually worked, or people will do something like, they'll rent, or a lot of times you can get them for free, like, so you don't have to bring people to your house, like a community center, day room, or something like that. And they'll do a screening of something that's not like straight all the way in the wheelhouse yet, like maybe on like a movie about, or a documentary on gardening, or maybe one of Jeff Lawton's, like the urban permaculture one, and like, and they'll put it out like next door in local Facebook groups and all, and say we're getting together. And that means everybody that comes there is going to at least have an interest in growing food. And then out of that group, you might find a few people that are even more like-minded, and that, my advice would be the same as it was when I used to train this in sales. Always lead with the relationship. Like, don't form a bond with somebody just because it seems like they're into the same, like, unless that is a natural bond, don't do it. Because your spider sense, for lack of a better term, is usually pretty accurate. And usually when you kind of force a friendship, it usually bites you or them or both of you. So, I mean, that would be one angle to it. I don't know. I think this whole nobody gets it thing is, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I've been doing this show for 18 years. I have people all over the world, all over the country, all over my own state that listen to this show. Well, those people get it. One of these people, I didn't find out till last year, actually lives like 5 houses south of me or north of me, like right there. And so, do those people get it? Well, one of them does, right? So, like, we need to like broaden that whole, like, if you don't think anybody gets it, you're going to convince yourself that nobody gets it. And when you say nobody, do you mean the 5 dudes you work with every day? Because I'm going to tell you honestly, unless you have, like, John's business is unique. He has kind of a tribe within the business itself. Most companies, you don't really want to be that close to the people you work with every day. That's kind of the shitting in your own backyard thing. Not just dating, like close friendships a lot of times. Like, because if something goes south, then you have to deal with that every day when you go to work. And I think we've gotten to a point where we've made our friendships circumstantial, where like we only know the people that we hang out with because we're there anyway. And so maybe go some new places, talk to some people. The person that asked that, like, are you the kind of person that will introduce yourself to somebody? Or are you waiting for somebody to introduce themselves to you? Like that has, like, go to some events. Go to Nicole's, come to mine, go to something.
John.
Yeah. And go, if something gets near you local, go, because half the fucking people that are there are local.
Facebook's got tons of like homesteading groups too. Like, we even have one for Benton County here, and there's a lot of traffic in there. Just go to their thing, their seed exchanges, or their shooting day, or whatever it is. Go out. like overlanding, right? Expensive truck camping. We went to an overlanding thing this weekend. There was all kinds of dudes there with guns and shit. And there's people, and most of them were from Tennessee. Like, just go to farmer's market. You'll see dudes with guns open carrying at farmer's market. And, that's the dude with the gun. And you'll see the hippies that are scared of guns. Like, it doesn't have to be whatever, we went to a survival podcast meetup when we first moved here to Tennessee at a Cracker Barrel. And we walked in there, and there were some like crazy gun dudes. And there was a bunch of people who couldn't barely walk to their car, but there was a few people there that kind of seemed, like they had their shit square. Am I offline? Am I dead here?
No,
you're good now.
We didn't meet anybody from, like, we never kept in contact with any of them. We went to it to see what it was going to be. And it was a lot of, like, I'm sure some of them are, doing fine, whatever, but it just wasn't our scene. Like, the dude didn't show up, but like Don Gorham does these little classes at her thing, at her cannery there at her barndominium, and people come from the area, and there's people really producing food and really doing beekeeping, and that's really where we met Tim from Permaculture Orchards. Is what's the name of his
Tim Riley?
Yeah, Tim Riley, but his YouTube channel. And we met him just from being at Dawn so many times. He came out to our stuff, but I never really met him other than because of Dawn. And
he's a stand-up dude.
And those guys will the permaculture guys know a ton of dudes. Billy Bond, he'll know some dude in my backyard. And William, we hung out with William a couple weeks ago, and he knows people everywhere. You just have to, just conversate with people.
Well, and go to things that are kind of adjacent. Like, we're all liberty minded. Well, most people in the Bitcoin space are liberty minded. There's probably a Bitcoin meetup weekly or monthly near you. Go to that and just talk to people. But the thing I always said, lead with the relationships. Don't go in there, I'm going to meet people, like, because then you become that creepy dude that's kind of like following people around like a puppy. Nobody wants that person, right? Just go there and hang out, kind of get to know people and start talking to people. I started going to one here. I quit because I just only have so much time in my day. But, by the fourth one, and people knew who I was, they weren't asking me about Bitcoin. Hey, I'm trying to grow a garden. What's wrong with this? Like, I mean, I was amazed. Like, half the people that would show up to those were trying to grow gardens. So I didn't go there to meet gardening people. I went there to talk about Bitcoin.
What's your role in people who get it or not get it? Is it your job to change it so people do get it? What does that even mean? I don't worry about if people get it or not. The people I connect with because they're doing cool stuff. And if they don't get, quote unquote, get it the way I get it, that's fine. They get something else. Like Jenny says, be okay with not hiding who you are. I think that's much more important because you have a much more honest interaction with people.
Yeah.
And if you're the person there who has expectations that going to this meeting means you're going to get these things from the people around you, right? You're going to get people at your property for GSD days. You're going to get something. You're already at a disadvantage because you're not.
Yeah.
Everybody is motivated by whatever they're motivated by. You can't control it. You can't control their opinion. You can't control if they understand how things are going in society. And some of them may, and you don't know it. Like, you may be talking to somebody every day at the grocery store who where you go buy stuff, who does get it. And they just don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about growing plants or a rock band they love, or, the crawdad boil next week at the church or whatever it is, John, what he does is people come to him, and it's harder and harder and harder and harder to get to John.
Yeah.
Because he's so busy.
Yeah.
And the people who stick to it and are sincere eventually talk to John. They figure out, he'll be like, if you want to talk to me, this is how. Or this week, you're not going to talk to me if you come here. So whatever.
Yeah.
Pretty transparent about stuff. But I don't see that he's not having a community around him. He has a very strong community. You can talk to him every day at about 9 to 9:30 p.m. when he goes live on YouTube.
Yeah.
Literally.
I talk to everybody.
You don't have to be in his face. You can be in the comments. And if you say some bullshit, he's going to not talk to you anymore.
See, and the other side of this is like, what does it mean, get it? Like my criteria to bring someone in kind of my inner circle of people that I'll hang out with, I'll spend my free time with, is not do they get it. It is, do they make a good friend? Are they someone I want in my life? And my threshold for that is generally, is there at least one thing about them that I'd like to be a little bit more like? Even if there's a bunch of other things that I don't, right? Is there some way that my relationship with them makes me have to rise up to meet their level in some aspect? And it's not a competition like money or something. It could be that the person is much better than I am, like at an event or any place a lot of people are, in taking a personal interest in people, because I don't. It's not because I don't care. It's because I have limited time and attention. And so when I have someone like that, I know like that, like I want to be more like them in that way. Or are they the kind of person that will drop everything and come help you move? That's a unique person that will do that. Nobody wants to move. Nobody wants to help anybody move. And the person that will drop their shit and come help you move, like I've actually thought, I can't do it because I've made it public and people will know now, but like I should send a text message to everybody that's local that I have any relationship, family, friends, whatever, and say like, we are screwed. They're throwing us out of our house. We have to move on Friday. I need people here by 4. We have to be out by Sunday morning. Please come. Please help me. And then like when everybody gets here, we're not moving, and like have like a band outside and like a giant fucking barbecue and shit. It's a big party for everybody that shows up. And then if you didn't come and you didn't have like my kid died or something, you're fucking out. Right. Like, because those are the people that will ride or die with you, man. The people that will show up and help you move. Who would you, I want a person in my network that if I were in jail, I would call for bail. Right. And even if it's not a lot of money, just, I need somebody on the outside to do it. Right. Like that person is who I'm looking for. Not a person that gets it. Who's a good man? Who's a good woman?
We've blurred the line between what's an associate versus what's a friend. Like in German, you have different words for that.
Yeah.
And in order to get the friend moniker,
yeah,
that's a different commitment. Like you and I have a mutual friend.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have 3 friends.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. And everybody else, it's not like he's not friendly and not a good networker with everybody else, but he's like, no, I will actually walk through the desert barefoot for these people.
Because of what I mean by friend, a person who thinks they're a friend may not qualify because they don't understand what I mean, because they don't even think that way. Like, first of all, it doesn't guarantee you are a friend, but if this phone rings and when it rings, if there's not a picture in your contact, I'm not even picking it up. And if you're not in as a contact, you go straight to voicemail.
Try to think if I've ever actually called you.
You text. Because you're smart. You know that's how to communicate.
Yeah, I'd have to be in real trouble.
Yeah.
To be like,
my big thing with
Jack.
the phone is when like it is going to take more effort to explain this in a text than I could do in 1 minute in voice. Then I'm going to do that. And then like Patrick, right? Patrick's in that list of people. Like he's snapped to like, if I need to explain it in voice, Jack's still probably not going to answer the phone unless he's not doing anything. So he's gone to the voice text, right? Which is because you can answer with a voice text, and I don't have to do it in real time. Like it's not that I don't care. It's that, okay, you're calling me to talk about some shit, and I'm in the middle of production. I'm not going to stop production to talk to you unless there's something like if there's something
literally
going on.
Fire. Yeah.
You know, if it's you have a random question about, do I think this handling material is going to sell more knives? Like I'm not stopping my life for that, even though he's a true friend. I'm going to help him, but I might not do it this second.
Go volunteer at a few storm cleanups.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's a great one.
If they have you picking up twigs versus running a saw, or they put other people under, you might not be who you think you are.
Yeah.
Like when you show up to something and they don't put other people on, number one, you're an unknown. But I mean, if you show up a few times, you might not be in the position that you think you're in. But I mean, show up at storm cleanup when people really need assistance, and there will be people who have stopped what they're doing, and you'll meet people there also.
Yeah.
Go to places that do shit you like to do, where other people will be that do shit you like to do. Don't worry about getting it. Like if there's a shotgun range around, like they have Skeet or Clays or whatever, talk to the ownership. They probably have tournaments. And there's guys that like they shoot 4-man tournaments, and there's people that need a 4th, or there's like 2 guys here and you have 2 guys, and they will put you together with people that don't have a full team. Well, everybody out there's a gun guy. Everybody out there's a gun guy, you know, and you don't have to be good. You can suck. That's all right. Like, and because you want to shoot with somebody that's really good, because they're going to make you better, because you're going to become, what did Jim Rohn say? You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah, it's
Right,
hard to be motivated to go to a weekly prepper meetup, but it's easy to be motivated to go to a weekly ham radio meetup or a weekly welding meetup or a weekly gardening meetup.
I run the survival podcast. I don't want to go to a weekly prepper meeting.
Most of them are goobers. I know people hate to say that, but when you go to the prepper meetup, it's a bunch of fucking Walmart gadgets and zombie bullshit. There's two dudes there producing food, but most of them, like a lot of rascal scooters at the prepper meetup.
A lot of rascal scooters.
Like no bullshit. There's a lot of
I know what you mean.
Like how can I take you serious if you don't take your physical fitness serious?
Yeah. There's people that get this close to you because I don't do close talkers. Yeah. And they want to tell you, did you know you can get free buckets at the grocery store? You're like, bro.
Yeah, if I can reach out and touch you, you're standing too close to me.
I didn't watch a lot of Seinfeld back in the day, but I did get the close talker and the sidler, and that identify. Oh my God. And that was not just that kind of thing, like trade shows and stuff back when I used to have to do that. And the people that are like here and you try to move and the sidler thing, that's the worst.
I passed off a close talker on Siegler once and he couldn't get out of it. And the next day he's like, I admire that move, Nicole. I was like, you need to meet this person back up.
That's the equivalent of a fly dump.
I don't think he's gotten me back for that one yet. I think it's going to happen someday.
Yeah. That'll go in the bank reservoir.
I know. I won't see it coming. That's just the way he works. And it could be 10 years later. He'll be like, that was for the close talker. That's why we're friends. I appreciate that about him. Yep. Buy your feed at the local feed mill, not in the big back store. Local farmers sit there and talk. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't think it's any different in the prepper sphere versus anywhere else. And I try not to tag in one topic or another. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
I would say for prepping, I've learned more from you two about how to build a life where I'm more prepared because of lessons about building a business and making money.
Yeah.
That's been more important than learning how to can the food, make the cheese, raise the animals, and all the things I can do. But am I spending $60,000 on that one sheep or whatever?
Yeah.
Man, if you want to, like, we went to an overland thing this weekend. We've been to the big expos and set up as vendors, but you have hundreds of people. Some of them literally drive around the world camping. They live out of a vehicle. There's ham radio dudes, there's gun dudes, everything. And a lot of these dudes, they have farms and almost all of them have some kind of business or social media is their business. But if you got in there and they're all friendly, like every one of them, you just walk up and be like, hey man, I have a Toyota. I saw a kid walk in, had a chest pack on. I said, is that a Hill People gear? I never told him I own SOE. And I started talking to this kid and he's got a Toyota and he's like, yeah, I made this app and you put in your truck and it shows the truck and you put even your color and everything. And then you want this roof rack. I built this app that shows all the parts and what your truck's going to look like put together. And I go, what do you mean you built the app? Like you used AI? He goes, no, I'm a software programmer. I'm a software engineer. I built the app. He said, I do use AI to aggregate and search the web and then put it all in so that the bullet points are the same. I talked to this kid for probably 30 minutes, lives right in Nashville. You know what I'm thinking the whole time is this kid's got the same trucks we got. He's into the same shit we are. I never told him, hey, I make shit that's way better than what you're wearing. But I'm thinking like this kid's close. He would love to come out and see what we're doing. And I can have him build an app for our shit that shows you how to put all that together. But like, man, everybody we talked to this weekend, every one of them is into prepping. I mean, they're out there for 4 days living in a field, living out of their rigs. And there's different levels of comfort. Some of them were camping on the ground. Some of them got rooftop tents. But I mean, any place if you go to an off-road store, all those dudes are there. Like they're accessible. We're just looking for like-minded people in the wrong locations.
And they're all somebody they are taking action to make their lives better, which is a much more important characteristic than are they freedom oriented? Because when you do that, you just naturally become freedom oriented.
And how would either of you guys respond to this? Let's say that we weren't public personalities. You're just doing your thing on the holler. You're doing your thing at your shop, and somebody in your local community goes, "Hey, we're starting a prepper group, and we want you to be part of it." Like, nah, man. Sorry. Like, there's a well-earned stigma to that mindset. Like, because it always goes in the same direction, and you either end up with like somebody's a Fed and that's why it's there, or you end up with what John said, a fleet of rascal scooters.
Yeah. Before I knew what a prepper was, I was a homesteader. And
Yeah.
I'd never, like, I had no idea about crazy preppers. I'm not a TV watcher or a video watcher much. And I had seen, some of the movies like Mad Max or whatever, but it didn't occur to me there's a whole bunch of people who
they're preparing for that.
Do. But what I knew is that on my property, it's better at growing meat, and other homesteaders in the area are better at growing vegetables. And I had started networking them. I was like, well, you grow the vegetables, I'll grow the meat. If society collapses for whatever reason, we've got things covered and we can help each other and the community out. That was it, which naturally makes me a prepper, actually.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I'd already started my podcast when somebody told me you should be marketing to preppers. And I'm like, what's that?
Yeah.
I was already listening to Jack, by the way, but you never said the word prepper.
Hardly ever. No.
And the reason I was listening to you is I was learning about wild edible plants from you.
Okay.
I just can't. You were in a set of gardening and plant stuff, and nothing to do with that. And you were called the Survival Podcast, but whatever.
Yeah.
So
because preparedness, my philosophy is we want to be prepared for all the shit can go wrong because we're building a great life, so we don't want that to be ruined. And there's so many people that, like, 1 week, if you ask them, "How's your life?" It's fantastic. I'm so good. I should be twins. Like everything's going their way. And it takes one thing to hit them out of left field, and they're lost, and their whole life's off track. And it might take them 5 years, even if they work hard to put their shit back together. And it's like there's like 5 or 6 things you could have done in advance of that. It wouldn't have been fun, but it would have been an inconvenience. It would have been a pain in the ass. It would have been it would have been fuck my life for a day or a week instead of for a year. And so to me, that's like the preparedness aspect of it is one piece of lifestyle design, because but I called myself the Survival Podcast because I thought in 2008, if I called it the Lifestyle Design Podcast, nobody would listen to it.
Yeah, nobody would have.
I would have been in a tiny pool with a big fish, and that would have been, what's his name? Tim Ferriss. Right? Like that's who I would have been competing against, is Tim Ferriss in a small pool. So I found a pool that had nobody in it, so that I could be the big fish. Because in 2008, there was a couple podcasts that were kind of about prepping, but I mean, like there was like 2 episodes, and the first one would be like, today we're going to talk about water. Water is very important. Off, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's it, that'll do. And then we had the whole buildup coming with 2012, and like it was a smart niche to market into. But I've always believed that you educate people to what they need to know, but you lure them with what they think they want to learn. And that's why, like, I use things to, like, little baby ducks to teach people about the hydrology of swales in the Duck Chronicle series, right? Like, it's a cute little duck. It brings everybody in. Your kids are watching it. And the next thing you're like, let's talk about the hydrology of swales and how this infiltrates into the land. And then people are all of a sudden hooked on permaculture and regenerative ag, who never really thought beyond, hey, it's a cool little idea. Let's get some 4 ducks for our backyard. And it's funny, I've actually talked people out of getting ducks because then they see, like, this is your life with ducks, but they do other things then, right? And so I think preparedness is like that. We are just using a piece of that in a holistic design of our life so that we don't end up like retired and poor, or poor before we should be retired. Like, there's all kinds of problems. Look around, like, right now, only about 20% of people in our country, the richest country in the world, truly retire comfortably. 20%. That means you look at any 10 people, 8 of them are not going to. And it's insane because 99% of people make enough money to have a decent end to their life, and they don't. Because we don't think about all the things that go wrong along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Daniel. If you hadn't named it the Survival Podcast, I would have never found it in my iTunes search so many years ago. Thank you.
My first episode was 7 wild edible plants you should have in your backyard. And I was searching wild edible plants.
I never would have listened to a podcast had you not commented as Modern Survival on the AR-15 forums in the survival group.
No shit.
That's why I found it. Yep. That was the first podcast I ever, and I never went and listened to another podcast for years.
That's crazy because
what I did that was early. 10 hours a week.
That was early because what I did very early on is I stopped all of that, especially like AR-15 is one thing, but like the Backwoods Home Forum and stuff. Anybody that was a brand, like a company brand that had a forum discussion community, I stopped touching it because I never wanted to be seen as the guy that was siphoning your people away from you.
Yeah, I found you episode 3.
Yeah, that was early.
Yep.
I didn't even know what it was going to be yet that early. And that's crazy. And like, that's why you take a shot at everything because you don't know who you're going to attract. John was huge in helping me when I started. It was incredible. Like he sent me a bunch of gear and stuff, but it was just more that he was telling people about me. Like I got an email from him one day. I remember he said, I make everybody in my shop listen to you every day. And I didn't really know what you did yet. I didn't even know I didn't know how many people that was or anything, but I thought that's fucking cool.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about you on Facebook where we had, over at least 100,000 back then, but we were telling people in orders, like we were putting, cards in orders and stuff. But when I sent the gear, I said, hey, here's $1,000 worth of slings, give them away for listener appreciation, right? Run some kind of contest with them.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we did. We also did a thing one year with the stockings for soldiers. We sent them all over to Afghanistan.
Yep.
To a forward operating base. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing. Like the people that do the Appleseed, they did the same type of thing for me. I never asked. They took my decals and put them on all their rack rifles for their shoots.
Yep.
It was an amazing way to get a business off the ground, but it wasn't. And this is kind of back to this thing about how do I find people? I didn't do any of that with intention. I just did what was right. And I did it long enough and loud enough that some people wanted to come along for the ride. And that's the same kind of thing. I said, go to a freaking sporting clays match. Just go where people are. Be where people are.
And be a good person while you're doing it.
Don't try to don't go to any of this stuff and be like, I need to make sure I'm impressive. The thing that people are most interested in the world? Themselves. The key to being a great conversationalist is asking questions, not like Jake. Right? There was a psychologist. This dude flew first class, LA to New York, back and forth 7 times, so 14 trips in first class. And he talked to whoever they put next to him. And then he had like a research assistant interview that person when they got off the plane. Can you tell me about the person you sat next to on the plane? All 14 of them said the guy was incredibly interesting. Not one of them could tell you what the guy's name was. His entire conversation was about them. And they thought he was incredibly interesting because the entire conversation was about them. So when you go to meet people, I'm not saying to go that far with it, but take an interest in them. These events are the easiest place in the world to start a conversation. What's your name? Right? My name is Jack. Where'd you come in from? What did you most want to see while you're here? And what's even better is if you do know some people there and you're like, I want to learn about Biotron. There's a dude like right over there. Hey, I know a guy doing that. Let me check you. Like basic, simple freaking networking like we used to do at Chamber of Commerce for sales. But you're doing it for a different reason. You're doing it to actually be that person because you want to be that person that puts people together. That's why Nicole has such an amazing network because she's the person like, oh, you need this? I know somebody. That a networker isn't a person that's like, hey, I need a thing, so do it for me. The networker is the person that's like, you need this, you need that. You guys need to talk to each other. And she's masterful at that.
That's because I don't want to do it, Jack.
Huh?
It's because I don't want to do that thing, whatever it is.
I don't want to do it, but I want it done.
I'm not good at that. I don't want to get good at that. You need to talk to somebody who's good at that. That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we're coming up on 2 hours. You guys ready to wrap?
Sure.
Yeah.
I actually want to highlight something by sharing a screen. So
Okay.
it's not letting me. Let's see if it goes. Did that go?
I don't see anything yet.
Hold on. I bet we have to add it in StreamYard. Yep. Okay. So this is not for me. This is actually a guy named Scott Armstrong who did a podcast called Rebunked. And if you haven't heard his story, he's a fellow Oregonian and he went through some really dark times years ago, but has rebuilt his life. Very freedom oriented. He's been in our network for a while, started a new podcast called I Fired Myself, interviewing people who have built something like Jack or John, where they realized they'd never really be able to work for somebody else. He just launched this Monday, I believe. So check it out, YouTube. I Fired Myself, and give him a listen. I got to be one of the people he interviewed. He interviewed me the day that I flipped a four-wheeler and wrecked my shoulder. So I was operating 100% on adrenaline and hadn't actually developed a knowledge that something might be wrong yet. So it was a fun interview. I'm not sure what I said on it, if I'm honest, but check it out. I Fired Myself. That's what I wanted to highlight today. John, why don't you talk to us about your stuff?
That dude's got a lot of videos on here, actually, on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's got quite a few. SOE Tactical Gear. We make nylon tactical gear. We do several different video series every week. We show you how to actually copy one of our products start to finish. And then I do a live every night at 9 o'clock, kind of like this. We just, guys ask questions. That video could be anything on any day, just based off of the interaction with whoever's on there. And I do that at 9 Central almost every single night of every single year for the last 10 years, probably. And those are all there. Every video, I got 7,500 videos here on YouTube. So jump on. We can have a conversation at 9 o'clock every night. And that's it.
Get on the email so you can be notified when cool t-shirts are made and get them before they're sold
Yeah,
out.
it's on the website, SOE Tactical Gear. You can join our email and our text app. Text goes out every night. You're going to get a much lighter text, and then email goes out 3 times a week, and that's much more in depth, and there's a lot more product there. Don't be surprised when you subscribe to my text that you're going to get a text every day. People are like, why do you spam me? Well, I mean, you signed up for this. It took multiple clicks and you entered all your, like, we didn't put you in the pool. You did yourself. So you will get a text every day.
You will get a text. And if everybody in the holler is subscribed, which almost everybody in the holler is, it'll be like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
And then we'll be like, what's going, oh, it's John.
Yeah. It's called the daily text. It's
comes
not
out every
called the
day.
monthly text, right?
Sometimes twice in a day if there's something really cool going on.
People will reply with like horrendous stuff. And Amanda's like, man, you're having a really shitty day. I hope your day's better. Oh, I didn't realize anybody read these.
Yeah.
Why did you take the time to text all that out then?
Bro, you just became a discount code.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am Jack Spirko, host of the Survival Podcast, 18 years running. Yesterday I did episode 3,824, so we've probably covered everything that you could possibly want to talk about in the space that we're in today and beyond it. Yesterday, I saw a lot of comments about AI today in the chat. Yesterday, I did a show on AI. It might be the best AI show I've ever done. It might be one of the top 10 shows I've ever done in 18 years. It's called Surviving and Thriving in the AI Revolution. I know a lot of you guys that tune in for this once a month thing that we do with John and Nicole don't listen to me every day. You're more from their tribes. And if you want to maybe check out one thing I've done, this is the one to check out. A lot of the personal improvement stuff that we were talking about today, believe it or not, AI can help you with that. And right now, I think that we have a place where a lot of companies out there, most big companies and a lot of medium-sized ones, they know AI won't go away. They can't get rid of it, and they don't know what to do about it, but they know they have to do something with it. And your choice with this technology, folks, is you can use AI to become better at what you do, or you can be replaced by AI. It's up to you. And that's kind of what that show's about, and a lot more.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you in May. Make it a great week.